How to set up your J-box. So this is the kind of J-box we use. All of your electrical components are going to go in this. It generally installs on the side of a customer house. Sometimes we'll put them in a garage. It just depends on how close you are to an electrical outlet. The plug that we hook up is about 6 feet long. So if you're further away than that from an outlet, you'll want to get a longer cord. I usually just buy an extension cord from a local Walmart or a Home Depot, and I'll cut it. But in the J-box, it comes set up just like this, and we're going to be hooking in our power supply of the appropriate size that we need. There's two different ways to hook in this power supply. One way is it has these screw holes from the bottom, and we're going to use an M4 by 8mm screw. You can find those most places. I order mine on Amazon. And we can either mount those through the back of this cage into this, or we can buy little L brackets that connect right here. That would be a 1/2 inch L bracket. And then we'll use the M4 screws to go in here. If you use the brackets, you'll mount it to this grid using the screws that come with this. For the simplicity of this video, I've removed most of the screws, but you can see the screw right here. If you pull this out, this is what these screws look like, and it comes with a whole bunch of these inside of this. These screw really easily into this surface, so if you do use those L brackets, you'd use the M4s in here. The L bracket will come down, and then you can screw these in. That's probably the easiest way to mount these, since you don't have to remove this grid at all. However, I didn't have the L brackets, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how I install that. So I'll pull all of the screws out which line this. It generally comes with the screws in it. And then you can see I've already pre-drilled these holes for simplicity. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to drill these holes out so they fit the M4 screws. I'm going to line that up with the power supply. And now I'm going to go ahead and put those screws in. So these are my M4 screws right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and the M4 screws right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and insert these into the power supply through the back of this grid they've got here. Screws in there so that it holds it nice and tight. Okay, now that we've got all 4 screws in, we can go ahead and flip this over, and we're just going to set it in here just like this. See that sitting in there really solid? All the screws that go in here to put this back together, I'm just going to go around and put them all in. I'm going to put them all in except for one screw, and I'll show you why. Pause now. Alright, now that we've got all the screws in here, I went ahead and I did not place this screw back. So this box of course comes with all these screws in place originally. I had removed them to install this. I'm going to take this last screw here that I told you to set aside, and I'm just going to put it in right here, and I'm just going to put it in about 2/3 of the way. The reason for that is the controller has a little mounting part right here that will allow us just to mount and slide that in over that screw. But we're going to go ahead and install the plug wire first. So on the plug wire here, the ones that come with it, we have a brown, blue, and yellow wire. If you're to cut up an extension cord, the wires will be a different color. And if you get confused on which color does what, I would just go ahead and Google it. But with these wires, your live wire is your brown one, your neutral wire is your blue one, and then your ground wire is your yellow one. So these provide the AC power to the system, and we're going to go ahead and just install those right here. Okay, you can see we've got that connected now with the right wires. The next thing we need to do is connect our controller. So with the controller, I'm just going to cut a piece of wire. This is 16 gauge 2 conduit wire, and I'm going to use this to power up the controller. So on this power supply, we've got our positive and our negative. I'm actually missing one of the screws to my power supply. Normally there's a screw here. You have 3 slots for positive, 3 slots for negative. I used 2 of these one positive, one negative to power up the power supply, and then I can run up to 2 additional power runs if I need to add additional power down the line from the other sections on here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this in. Okay, now that's connected in. We're going to run this up to the controller. For the controller, you can see it's got some little screws right here. So you're going to need a small screwdriver, something like this. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these screws. You can see it loosens up these pins back here, these connectors. And then we're going to take, we've got a V plus and a V minus, just like we have here on the power supply. So we're going to take the red and go ahead and connect it into our V plus, and then we're going to tighten that down, and then we're going to go ahead and take the black wire and we're going to connect that into the V minus right here. And then you just want to put these in and make sure they're nice and tight. I usually give the wires just a very gentle tug. You don't want to pull them too hard because you don't want to rip them out, but you definitely want to make sure they're in there. So those are in there nice. The next step is we want to connect our 3-pin connector right here. This connects in and allows us to start running our extensions and our lights. And see, we have 2 different sets of connections right here. On this 3-pin connector, we've got the white wire, which is going to be our positive. The center wire is the data, and then the other wire is going to be your ground. So just pick either side, your right or your left, and then we're going to go ahead and loosen those up and slide these wires in. The reason there's 2 on here is you might want to run 2 different lines at the same time. Maybe you've got an upper and a lower floor, or maybe from wherever you're at on the roof you want to run to the right and the left at the same time, so you can run those from here. You could also do that with a splitter down the line with one of your data tees. But we're going to go ahead and do that right here with 1 wire. And now that we've got that attached, you can see right here we've got that screw down here. So we're going to take it and we're going to slide it on. If the screw is not in a good spot that holds that nice and secure, you can screw it in a little more, out a little more. But now we've got this connector. What I usually like to do is connect a data tee on here. This is not necessary unless you're running an extension over about 30 feet from the box. But sometimes it's nice to just hook one up so that you've got it right here. We include these in all of our kits so you have them anyway. And the connector fits nice and easy, and let me show you that again. These connectors, you've got a small arrow right here, and you've actually got a small arrow right here. And on these connectors you can see there's a little line right there, and there's also on this one a little line on the inside. So those will line up, and you line up the arrows and they go together. You want to push them together nice and firm, and then you just twist these together. All of the lights connect that way. Now that we have this connected together, we can go ahead and run an extension wire that's going to run up to the roof of whatever length we need, or we can go ahead and connect in one of our strings of lights. So if I've got this mounted close enough to my first light, I don't actually need to run any extensions. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that in, and then I can go ahead and start connecting my tracks and my lights. The only other thing you're going to do with the box is you've got to get these wires and these wires and potentially any power runs you've done out of the box. You can see right here at the bottom they've made it easy. You've got 2 different sections you can run these out, and I'll just take and get a a knife and I'll just cut these out. A razor blade or whatever works great for those. I'm not going to cut those out because I actually use this box for a demo kit, and I like just keeping it all together like this. But that's pretty much putting your box together. The only other thing you've got to be aware of is when you mount it on the house, you've got 2 holes on the bottom and 2 holes on the top. Depending on the surface you're mounting into, you'll use appropriate mounting hardware and you'll mount it there.